Hey, what's up, family? Hey, today I want to do a sincere video, personal, for me to you and to many out there. And this one's going to be simply put, Black Wall Street. And the reason I'm doing this video, because today is June 1st, 2021, whereas that event happened exactly 100 years ago, June 1st, 1921. Now let's get into the story of Black Wall Street. A lot of y'all have heard of it, some of y'all haven't. And that's like me. I had learned about it many years later. But anyway, I'll get to that as well. But let's talk about Black Wall Street. This was a group of people through segregation. They were always told, back of the bus, you can't come in the grocery store, the back of the door, use the outhouse bathroom. Even performers, actors, business people, it didn't matter what level of professionalism or not, they were always disenfranchised. You couldn't vote, you couldn't do nothing. Everything was, you was treated as some secondhand citizen when there's no such thing as a secondhand citizen. But anyway, the great adulation that I had for these people, and as always, love to give y'all a word of the day. And the word of the day is going to be just that, adulation. Now, if you look up the word adulation, it simply means to have excessive, to have excessive praise and honor for someone or something. And that's why I say I have a great deal of adulation for the people of Black Wall Street, because all the nonsense that they had to put up with, the misfortunes that they had to put up with, but how they was able to put all their minds together, their money together, all their dreams and aspirations, and say, all right, this is what we're gonna do. Since the segregation thing, since the integration, they wanted to integrate always, but the integration was always on a negative scale, where it was always, like I said, everything was disenfranchised. You always got the worst meat at the store. Go to the back, go in the pissy outhouse. You know, always real bad treatment by nefarious people. And nefarious simply means evil and wicked. So by nefarious white folks. Now this is no way trying to be a hateful video, a racist video. Nah, not doing. I'm just giving you historic facts. And a lot of y'all, like the old saying goes, don't believe what I'm saying, look it up. Because if you look it up, you will have a great deal of adulation to these people. It also piss you off too, that these nefarious folks plotted against these peaceful people just out of pure jealousy. Now, when you're speaking of Black Wall Street, you gotta speak about the great adulation that they have for one another, such as groceries, their own grocery stores, their own movie theaters, their own doctors, their own lawyers. They had their own flight of planes. You know, you name it, they had it. But what made them build up so great? Because they supported one another and only one another. Let me just paint you a picture for that so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Could you imagine you and two of your other friends, you own a candy store, your friend owns a lumber yard, and your other friend owns a flower shop, where me, who owns the candy shop, I'm gonna only buy my lumber. Me, my family, my friends, my co-workers, I'm gonna tell all of us we are only to buy it from you and you only. That way we help lift you up financially and building your family up. And in return, you has a promise and a commitment to me where you only gonna buy your candy, you, your family, your friends, your co-workers, only from me. And we are only gonna buy our flowers, whatever the company may have been. They only bought from one another and one another only. And by doing so, it helped lift each other up. Therefore, one of the greatest stories I love about Black Wall Street, although there are many, but one that stood out to me the most, I have to put emphasis on, there are many, but this in particular one is how they said the dollar, the $1, the dollar is circulated up to about 60 times before it even left the community. Now you look at this day and age now, the average black dollar leaves the community the moment it gets in their hand. Y'all go to the Asian store and buy your weave or your whatever, this and that. You go to the Italian store, you go here, but they don't come to you and support you, but y'all so quick to go support them and get your dollar elsewhere. You know, just because somebody got it for 2 cents cheaper, you go, well, they got it 2 cents cheaper up the street, I'm gonna get it. No, you gotta break that cycle, because they don't break their cycle. They have a systemic racism cycle going. Why they constantly disenfranchise black folks? You get what I'm saying? So you got to stay with that. adding to that story, I gotta give you this great story I heard in a documentary that I was listening to quite a while ago. Now it goes something like this. There was an African guy who had approached an Asian guy at like a beauty supply place. And he asked him how much did he pay for his jar of cocoa butter. And just to throw a regular number out there. So the guy said, oh, for my jar of cocoa butter, we buy it wholesale for $2. And then we sell it for $3.50, making $1.50 profit. So the African guy said to the Asian guy, he said, well, look, I tell you what I can do. I can wholesale you that for $1. That way you making $2.50 profit. And the Asian guy responded back to the black guy and said, no, that's okay, no, we don't need it. And then the African guy said back to the Asian guy, he said, I don't think you quite get the concept of what I'm saying. He said, you just told me you buy it for $2. I said I could sell it to you for $1. And if you buy it in bulk, we might even go as low as 50 cents if you buy it in bulk, making your profits even more. And the Asian guy responded to him again. He said, no, it's you that don't understand. And the African guy was like, what? I don't think you get, these numbers don't make sense. And the Asian guy explained to him. He said, no, it's just that it don't matter what the price you give us. We don't buy from the black man. Now, of course, the African guy was upset. He said, what do you mean by that? He said, that is the problem with the black man. You guys buy from everybody, but you don't even support your own people. You're quick to spend your money everywhere. We don't do that. We only buy from each other, no matter how the price or the quality. But we only buy from our tight-knit community. Only. That's why we're able to lift up our community so easily. But you, black people, never get that concept. You're always elsewhere with your money. I always love that. Because, see, with the African, it stung. It hurt. Like they say, the truth hurts. That stung. But it was the truth. It wasn't like he was trying to hurt his feelings. He was just giving them the truth. And if you can't accept the truth, that's shame on you. Because you could take that as a lesson to learn from. Not something to be offensive by and now want to act out in action. Nah, it's not necessary. But back to Black Wall Street, because that touches on it. Another thing about Black Wall Street, the only negative thing I got to say about Black Wall Street, actually it's two. One is I learned about it late. Believe it or not, a lot of y'all out there learned about it late. Now, although there has been many massacres, we're talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma, because it's June 1st, 2021, whereas that happened June 1st, 1921, 100 years exactly. Could you imagine that? That was like yesterday. But anyway, the reason I say it's two things that really upset me. One being that I learned about this late. There was a good buddy of mine named Rob, who he had turned me on to that. To the black. One day, because he knew I like historic events, so he had printed me up some literature and gave it to me. And man, I was so captivated, and I had such great adulation. Remember, adulation means to have excessive praise and honor for something or someone. I had such adulation about the story when I was reading about Black Wall Street, and it made me have a great deal of adulation towards my buddy Rob, because we both do historical stuff. But I said, wow. And do you know, to this day, anytime I hear something about Black Wall Street, Rob pops in my head. It's like another video we got called memory restoration. And what I mean by that, we all know you eat a certain food, you be like, that made me think about your grandmother right away. You might hear a certain song on the radio. Every time you hear it, you think of your mother or your brother. You get the concept of it's certain things that trigger memories. You'll love that video. It's called memory restoration. Go to it. You'll love it. Sphinx for Integrity. And just type in memory restoration. But that's one thing I hated. The only negative thing I had to say about Black Wall Street is the fact that I learned about this late, because I found out that a lot of the school curriculum, they lie through omission. Now remember, omission just simply means to leave out. So they purposely don't tell us about our history. So they lie through omission by not telling us our true, beautiful historic history. But they also lie through omission by not telling us the nefarious, and nefarious means wicked and evil, by not also, on the same end, telling us the nefarious history of the people in control, white people in this country and all over, because it's systemic. This has been going on since forever. Over the lands, over the waters and everything, especially here. It's systemic. That you don't tell their evil stuff and how they got in power. You stole, you raped, you killed for everything you got. And that's what they did to Black Wall Street. Now, the only other thing, like I said, the other thing that I didn't like about Black Wall Street is that although how powerful, how great, how accomplished, successful they were, the one crucial mistake that they made, because they wanted separation so much that they did it, and they were successful at it. But the one crucial mistake that they made was not thinking that they had to defend it. Because let me tell you about something about defending something. Even if we talking about boxing, right? Even if we talking about boxing, the champion of the world, he has the title. Do you know what all the other boxers want? They want that damn title. They coming for it. They training for it. They doing everything to take it. It don't matter what sport or whatever it is. I want to stay on boxing because you have something. See, and everybody wanted. And that's the big mistake Black Wall Street made, where they wanted the separation so much and they got it. And they were so successful at it. But they never thought that they should defend it and defend it with their lives. Because in the end, that's what these nefarious white people did out of jealousy. Right across the river, they was looking back at these black folks with pure hatred and jealousy. And you think about it, why? For what? These people done nothing to y'all because y'all didn't want them in your stores and wanted them around y'all, so they separated themselves. And now they had their own community, thriving, successful. And y'all took your nefarious selves, went on up in some planes and said, we're gonna bomb and destroy everything that they got. Now you tell me that ain't some hateful, nefarious, jealous acts of hatred right there. And do you know you still got a very few survivors from back then because they were little children at the time. The government refused still to this day to pay these people for the wrongs that has been dealt upon them and their siblings, which would be someone like myself and many others. Because remember, these people had to be all moved all around. They had to run for their lives. Black people have done the most in this country and the world and has been given the least, if none at all. Italians got reparations. Asians got reparations. Jews still getting reparations. But they have refused to give black people reparations, meaning to get on your feet. And then if it is to be given, they act like we've been given some trinkets, like we're begging. No, everybody else been giving it. Why haven't black folks been giving it? But they say them stupid statements like you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That is the most offensive thing to be said, because it's a systemic racism that keeps black folks constantly down. And then these nefarious acts by these nefarious people want to act like we are the criminals. When you look throughout history, as I said, everything y'all got, you stole, you raped, you took it through pure force and evil acts. But you got the world believing that it's black folks that's the evil, bad ones. No, you took the most docile and peaceful person in the world and you put them in an environment where there's nothing but stuff, hateful stuff happening to them, against them. Even that person is going to eventually turn into that. I remember it was like a cartoon years ago where a lion was being raised by a bunch of sheep. And then one day, every time the wolves would attack the lion, not knowing that he's a lion, because that's what he's raised with, he would act like a sheep and cower. But one day, that lion had enough, and the innate thing in him just reacted when them wolves came in. It was like, roar! And it was like, all them wolves were like, oh, damn. See? Because he was raised with sheep, therefore he's acting like a sheep. But that's not who he is. If you get my drift, what I'm saying. The most evil people on this planet are in power because of evil acts. But they got the world mind twisted, thinking, oh, it's these people over here. Look, these peaceful, docile people who you put them in a burning pot. And then you say, wow, look how they acting. It's the most evilest thing in the world. So, back to Black Wall Street. Like I said, I love the adulation they have for one another. I love the adulation of its story in itself. Like, wow, it can be done. They did it. They were very successful at it. having every business you could name, every profession you could name. But they did it amongst each other. They really supported one another. Unlike this day and age now, a lot of folks, it's too much to hit a button. It's too much to support one another. You put every bit of time into any and everyone else, but except for yourself. Like the Asian told the African, remember? That's the problem, you black people. You give money to everybody else, but you don't support your own people. You got every excuse in the world why you don't do it. So, like I said, I love that story. It needs to be explained and talked about more often. As I said, there were many massacres, but we talking about Tulsa, Oklahoma now. Because like I said, I was very upset when I found out about it late. And I said, man, my schools never talked about this. How they know? Y'all talk about the Jewish camps. You see what I mean by systemic racism? But you know, let's try to end this, because we could go all day on this topic and this story, because it's very historic. But let's try to end it on a positive note. And that positive note is, like the old saying goes, don't believe me, do your research. Do your research on Tulsa, Oklahoma, 1921, June 1st, on Black Wall Street. And you'll have a great deal of adulation about the story, but it's also going to make you very upset to see how corrupt and nefarious this country is, and always have been, towards black folks. And even the news stations, they're quick to put out negative stuff and omission of the truth when it comes to black folks. And then they do that same omission of truth when it's white folks telling the real evils that they done. They water it down. But like I said, to end it on a positive note, great story. Do the research on it. You'll love the story. Man, these people were very successful. It was just so unfortunate that these people across the river decided to go up in planes and bomb them and destroy, rape, kill, murder all these people. And the government has yet to acknowledge it and pay back for all the wrong that's been done to so many blacks in this country since forever. As I said before, we have done the most, but has been given the least, if any at all, zero. But we are told to pull your feet up by your bootstraps, or whatever the case. Now, let there have been any other race that go through the nonsense that we went through. They won't survive that. So, a very great guy said that, was it Professor Clark or whatever? Like, no, Marcus Garvey. Mighty, mighty black people, pull yourself up, because you're mighty, mighty. No other race would have been able to go through the nonsense that we went through. Hey, look up the story, you'll love it. Adulation is word of the day. Excessive praise and honor to something or someone. And this was a great story to have a great deal of adulation towards. Subscribe, share, like, and comment. Peace.